Yo, what is up, Sheep Squad, and welcome back to the channel. Stupid here, and as always, bringing you some deck profile. This is going to be a two for one, kind of special here. We're rocking the Articuno that took all these different regional championships by storm. I wanted to say Blizzard, but I don't think it would have landed very well.
You were
But anyways,
close.
yeah, we're gonna look at two different variants. A lot of this is the same, and then we'll move a few other cards around as we go through. But before we get started, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to support the channel, the content, and everything else we got going on. It lets YouTube know that this is good content and people should watch it. That's it, you know. And if you like it, share it. If you see me tweet it, retweet it, follow me over on Twitter and all that nonsense. But without further ado, let's get started. All right, the first one we're going to look at is Tim Franklin's list from Brisbane. They were the winner of the event, and they played the Frosmoth style Articuno deck. So we'll just dive in. If you've never seen Frosmoth before, it's a stage 1 Pokemon with the ability Ice Dance. You're allowed to attach as many water energy from your hand to your benched Pokemon during your turn, and you can do this as multiple times too. So if you play a couple, then you draw some cards, you get a couple more, you can do it again. So we are playing a 2/2 Frosmoth line. We are playing the optimal Snom as well with Call for Family. If you're like a desperation early move, slap energy on this thing and just call for family. Get your friends and family involved. That's what I want you to do. I want you to call for family to your friends to have them come and also view this content. One of the few people who do tabletop deck profiles on the regular basis. So hopefully people like this because we've clearly been growing. Anyways, yeah, the star of the show, Articuno, and 110 HP on this thing. And first attack, meh. Second attack is where it's at. Wild Freeze for 2 water, 70 damage. This Pokemon does 50 damage to itself. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed. So the reason why Articuno was played so well across all these regional championships is for the fact that Lugia had no outs to paralysis. There were a few players who countered the counter that had the Espeon VMAX in there, like the Bradner and the Rahul list, that they had the 1/1 Espeon VMAX. They could deal with this, but we saw on stream with especially Gearhart in the Winnanen for Toronto, that they were able to just take out that Espeon before or even after it evolved, before the Articuno lock truly began. Continuing on, Tim played a 1/1 Alolan Vulpix V-Star line. Let's look at the V first. 190 HP. White Drop for 0 energy. It does 10 plus, 50 more if you're attacking into a Pokemon V. And then you have Frost Smash for 1 water and 2 colorless for 110. And the V-Star, 240 HP. This is also your V-Star power in this list specifically, and it's actually pretty good against Mew. You've got Snow Mirage for 1 water and 2 colors, same attack cost as Frost Smash on the V. 160. This attack's damage isn't affected by any effects on your opponent's active Pokemon, so Shred. And this is the best part. During your opponent's next turn, prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from Pokemon that have an ability. So most of the good V-Stars have abilities. In just other Pokemon in general in a vacuum, like Lost Box, it's mostly Pokemon that abilities except for freaking Sableye, and at that point you just slap the Wash Water energy on it and you call it a day. And then the V-Star power, which is an attack for 0 energy, Silvery Snowstar, 70 damage times the amount of Pokemon V in play that your opponent has. It's not affected by weakness or resistance. So against Mew, other than Oricorio, for the most part, with what we've seen recently, they're going to have 4 Genesects and 2 Mews in play. 6 times 7, you do the math, it's a 1-hit KO. Continuing on, this is where both decks get pretty similar here, as they rock the Inteleon engine. We'll cover the differences again when we get to it. But of course, you've got your 4 Rapid Strike Sobble for the Keep Calling attack to grab more Rapid Strike Pokemon. In this case, you're just going to grab more Sobble. We've got 3 copies of Drizzile for the Shady Dealings ability. When you evolve, you can search your deck for a trainer card. So you evolve your Sobble into Drizzile, you search for a trainer card. We've got 2 copies of Inteleon, or Shady Dealings, that searches for 2 trainer cards when you evolve. So again, evolve Drizzile into Inteleon, get 2 trainer cards. And we also have 1 Rapid Strike Inteleon for the quick shooting. Once per your turn, you can put 2 damage counters onto one of your opponent's Pokemon. So pretty straightforward. That's the Inteleon engine. And then we get more into the I guess other pieces. We've got the Manaphy for the bench protection. You have a lot of little sitters here, 60, 90, 90, 50. Manaphy's going to protect your bench from, the amazing rare Raikou, the crazy person deciding to play Rapid Strike Urshifu, so on and so forth. Then we've got a copy of Ice Cube from Evolving Skies with the attack block face that matters here. For a water and 2 colors that does 70 damage during your opponent's next turn, prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from basic Pokemon. This is another Lost Box out. Again, you gotta have that wash energy on here, and then you're protected from Sableye. But for the most part, they're only attacking with basic Pokemon. Unless they're playing Giratina for whatever reason, then it's a whole questionable situation. But Ice Cube is really good, even against Lugia too. If you can deal with the Yveltal early on, and they don't put another Lugia down, you could just Ice Cube your way to victory there. Last-ish, we do have a copy of Radiant Greninja for the ability Concealed Cards, and technically you can Moonlight Shuriken multiple times in this deck thanks to Frosmoth accelerating energy all the time. So you can discard a card and draw 2, and then by a card I mean energy specifically, and then Moonlight Shuriken, you can hit 2 Pokemon for 90. So again, Manaphy prevents that kind of nonsense, but most people might omit Manaphy in the future, so who's to say if this is the right way or the wrong way anymore. The last Pokemon on the list is a copy of Drapion V with a Wild Style ability. For every Single Strike, Rapid Strike, and Fusion Strike Pokemon in play, this attack costs colorless less. So this is like your Mew out. It is dark. It hits Mew for weakness. So in a Mew matchup, you can actually get there with Drapion and Alolan Vulpix V-Star as your 2 outs to that matchup. So it's kind of cool to see that. All right, moving along to the supporters. Playing 4 copies of Irida here. Search your deck for a water Pokemon and an item, and put them into your hand. And this thing is super strong, so you can literally get every Pokemon in your deck except for Drapion, and then get an item. And then if you really want to, you can just get an item that can get you Drapion. But yeah, access to your entire Pokemon line here, and whatever else feels pretty cool. And then we've got triple Boss's Orders, of course, for your Gusting. This deck didn't play any Serena, which was a little bit wild to think about, but again, you have all these single prize and different box style options. I'm really loving the box decks that come out this weekend. They feel really fun to play. And then onwards with the supporters, we've got 2 copies of Nessa. Not one people see too often. Put up to 4 in any combination of water Pokemon or water energy cards from your discard pile into your hand. So this is gonna, oh, they knocked out my Frosmoth, or I need my Inteleon pieces, or I want Greninja back, or Manaphy, or whatever. You can grab them with Nessa, as well as the water energy that'll be in the discard pile from everything else getting KO'd, and then Frosmoth can just go to town again. Alright, last 2 supporters, we've got a Marnie and a Raihan. Marnie, of course, shuffle hands, put them on the bottom of the deck. They get 4, you get 5, and Raihan for the comeback potential. If one of your Pokemon was knocked out during your opponent's last turn, attach energy from the discard pile and search your deck for any card you want. So again, another really good searcher. Alright, on to the item cards. We are rocking 2 copies of Quick Ball. Discard a card, search your deck for a basic Pokemon, and put it into your hand. We've got 4 copies of Level Ball. Search for Pokemon with 90 HP or less. That gets you your Snom, your Frosmoth, your Sobble, your Drizzile, and your Manaphy. And then they can technically, use the Inteleon line, evolve, and grab whatever else you need to grab, whatever Pokemon that you are missing. And we have 2 copies of Evolution Incense to grab Evolution. So, of course, your Inteleons and your Vulpix V-Star, Frosmoth, all accessible there. We've got 1 copy of Battle VIP Pass If you're going first, or if it's your first turn going second, you can just get 2 basic Pokemon from your deck and put them onto the bench. The combination with this only playing 1 is the fact that if you go second, you can play Irida. This is your item card, and you get a water Pokemon anyway, so you're technically getting 3 Pokemon for Irida, similar to like the old Bridget back in the day, or Gloria of modern days. And then we've got 1 Hisuian Heavy Ball. Search your prizes for a basic Pokemon, put it into your hand, and then swap this into the prize cards. Now we've got 3 copies of Scoop Up Net. This is to pick up and reuse and abuse your Inteleon line, and potentially also just get your Ice Cube, Manaphy, Greninja, or Frosmoth out of the active if you don't have another way to do so. But being able to reuse and abuse the Inteleon engine is always really good, especially like if you need to use Shady Dealings multiple times, you can't quite get to the Inteleon. It just works out that way. Continuing on, we've got 2 copies of Capacious Bucket. Search your deck for 2 water energy cards and put them in your hand. So, you know, we can play a little bit less energy, play these, search for them with the Inteleon engine or the Irida, and just grab water that way. Then we've got 2 copies of Emergency Jelly. This is primarily for the Articuno. At the end of each turn, if the Pokemon this card is attached to has 30 HP or less remaining and any damage counters on it, heal 120 damage from it. If you healed any damage, discard this card. So what this is, basically, is the Articuno inflicts self-damage from using Wild Freeze. It hurts itself for 50. It's got 110 HP. So you Wild Freeze one time, it's got 60 HP left. Wild Freeze a second time to keep them locked under paralysis, you have 10 HP left. You have the Emergency Jelly on your second attack. After you've attacked and you've paralyzed them, your turn ends, the Emergency Jelly will go ahead and kick in and completely heal you, so you can paralyze 2 more times in a row. Pretty cool combo. And again, also, in some situations, this might work out on an Inteleon or Greninja, who knows. But for the most part, this is here for Articuno. And the last couple items, we have 1 copy of Rare Candy. This is to be able to just jump right into your Inteleons from the Sobble. Only 1 of these are definitely needed. We've got an air balloon in here for pivoting. Reduces the retreat cost of 2. So for the most part, Frosmoth, Articuno, you're pretty much able to retreat everything except for Drapion, thanks to the power of air balloon. And for our stadium card, we have 1 copy of Training Court to grab a water energy from the discard pile and put it back in our hand. Pretty easy and straightforward. And for the energy, we are rocking 6 copies of basic water energy, as I throw those, and 1 wash water energy. And this is for your ability to kind of turn off other effects of attacks. So in this case, Sableye is sort of the bully that can kind of cause problems. But again, Ice Cube with Wash Water Energy or a Alolan Vulpix V-Star with Wash Water Energy is kind of like an auto win against some of the matchups that exist. So yeah, this is Tim Franklin's Frosmoth Water Box deck with the Articuno focus. I'm going to take a quick cut, and then I'll move some cards around, and then we'll come over to Gearhart's list, so hang tight. Okay, and after a few minutes of moving some cards around, but for you guys, literally just seconds, thanks to the power of editing and the internet and technology, this is now Jake Gearhart's list from Toronto, and they made top 8 with this, so let's go over the changes real quick. First of all, noticeably from the Pokemon, the Palkias have been added in here in place of the Snom and Frosmoth line. Of course, Palkia, we have the V with Rule the Region and Hydro Break. Rule the Region searches for a Stadium card, puts it in your hand, and Hydro Break just can't attack the next turn for 200. The V-Star, though, is pretty cool here. We have the Subspace Swell. It does 60 plus 20 more damage for each bench Pokemon, yours and your opponent's. And of course, the Star Portal, your V-Star ability. This will attach up to 3 Water Energy cards from your discard pile to your Water Pokemon in any way you like. So yeah, you cut the Frosmoth out for a more bigger, beefier attacker body that can also accelerate energy onto your other Water Pokemon. In this case, it's just going to be the Palkia, the Inteleon, and the Articuno doing most of the damaging and attacking, and sometimes occasionally the Radiant Greninja. So you no longer have the Vulpix V-Star in this list, or the Ice Cube and the Snom, and Frosmoth. So easy, 7 cards out. Also coming in to the fray to take up those other 3 slots without going too crazy is a Thornton, a Roxanne, and a second Raihan were in Jake's list. The Thornton here will let you transform into, say, a Palkia if you discard it, Greninja again, Manaphy, Drapion. All your basics basically are interchangeable thanks to Thornton for the supporter. I don't know how many instances that they used the Thornton, but it is something that's available to them. Also to note, the bosses were cut down to 2 in place of a Serena. It's in another deck, and I didn't want to move it around. So just, we'll pretend that you see a Serena right here as I screw up my piles. Continuing on, we added a 3rd Quick Ball in place of a 2nd one, a 3rd Evolution Incense, and then noticeably the level ball went down from 4 to just 1, since you're only really grabbing the Sobble, the Drizzile, or the Manaphy in this situation, a lot less Pokemon. Jake also played a 3rd Capacious Bucket while keeping the scoop up count the same, but at this point they played 4 Battle Pass, just they could start it sooner instead of just the 1 that you would get with Irida. I think in any situation with like this sort of deck, I kind of like Tim's a little bit more, just because of its more boxy style. This feels more like a teched, slimmed down Palkia list. The energy count stayed the same, as well as the air balloon and the training court, and the emergency jelly was cut down to 1. But he also played an ordinary rod, a choice belt, and a lost city as other options. So this is, pretty much, 50-ish, give or take, cards the same, with the same, Inteleon core and most of the same items and supporters. So if you're looking to get into playing Pokemon and you're like, oh cool, I want a deck that I can maybe play 2 different variations of with ease, this might be your choice, especially since, as more water type Pokemon would come out, you'd be able to interact and adapt and whatnot. However, the rotation looming around the corner, we lose the Inteleon engine, we lose the Frosmoth, we lose Capacious Bucket, Evolution Incense, Quick Ball. So this might just be a enjoy this for the rest of the Sword and Shield era into Silver Tempest until we get Scarlet and Violet, and we'll go from there. Those cards are starting to leak a little bit from Japan, so we'll keep an eye out for all that kind of stuff. I'd make a video on it, but people have already beat me to it by the time I woke up today. But that's it for this iteration. Let me know what you think about either of these 2 lists, whether you like Tim Franklin's Frosmoth style or if you like Jake Gearhart's Palkia V-Star style. But again, showcasing the power of Articuno against Lugia in the meta, as well as, just Palkia in this instance is just generally good. And then the options of the Frosmoth style box feel pretty cool too. So yeah, let me know what you think down below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and all that fancy YouTube goodness to let me know and let YouTube know that, hey, good content, please watch. This one I kind of rambled a little bit on, and but hey, you got 2 decks for the price of 1. And I've been getting pinged on Twitter after this week's Gust of Wind episode talking about the Zoroark deck. It's coming. I'll have it up by Friday probably. So hang out for that one. Very spicy Zoroark V-Star list. I know people have asking for it. But yeah, that's it for me. I'll see y'all in the next one. Much love and peace out.